you're here. We're also happy that International Samaritan is here. We're so excited we have people from all over the world here who are going to share some of their stories with us. My name is Father Jim Gartland. I said last night I shouldn't be doing any welcoming because I'm new. I've only been here since October, and I'm the pastor of this parish, which has been a real gift for me. I came with the idea of being here 9 months, and I got a couple months under my belt, and then I drove back to Chicago, and I told the provincial, I'm having too much fun, can I stay? And he said, okay, we can talk us maybe 5-6 years at least for a start. So, yeah, they ship us around a lot. So welcome. You know, the whole mission of International Samaritan is so close to all of our hearts, and that's why we're here. You know, growing up in a large family of 11, it was instilled in us that, you know, we were blessed, and that blessings were never really meant to be possessed, that they were to be shared. And my parents did such a good job with that in terms of my own formation that I wanted to spend my whole life in South America. I was only able to spend 3 years, and then I was sent to the inner city in Chicago, where we began the first Cristo Rey high school for low-income families, and now there are 35 across the country. And it's similar to, I think, what International Samaritan is doing on an international level, that we know that every human being is a child of God, and every human being has, therefore, human dignity and a sacred life. But unfortunately, the way resources are distributed is just in an unjust way, and so many people, simply by where they're born, are not living dignified lives. And International Samaritan is fantastic because it's giving education and also job training for people in these countries that you'll hear from. I think they're in 5 and hope to expand, a way out of poverty and a way to live a dignified life. So welcome. The important bits of information: bathrooms. They're in the back. There are 2 when you leave here to the left. And there's also 1 back here, so please feel free to move around. And thank you again for blessing St. Mary's Student Parish with your presence tonight and blessing the mission of International Samaritan. So I think Mike will...
Thank you, Father. I don't know if Father mentioned, as of 24 hours ago, he became a member of our Board of Trustees. And so we're really grateful to have Father Gartland on our board. And we are 25 years old. 25 years ago, Father Don Batiste, a Jesuit priest with 5 young men from St. John's Jesuit in Ohio, were in Guatemala City on a service trip when there was a detour from the road and they ran into the dump. And they stopped and said, we've got to do something. And they built some houses, and that's just one thing led to another. And for 25 years now, people have been called to be that good Samaritan, to stop and see how they can change a life. And we've built homes and medical clinics and schools, and we have service trips with 25 organizations each year. I'm really glad to see some of our people who have traveled with us this year from UT Toledo Honors are here. Where are you? If you could raise your hand. Over here, came back up tonight from UT Toledo. Thank you so much for being here. Are there any other people who have been on a trip with International Samaritan in the past? If you could, just stand up for a second so we can just give you a big hand and thank you. We've been on Main Street in Ann Arbor for a couple of years now. 4 years. I've been with the organization 6 months. We're the first and a half street light as you come in Main Street, or the last one on your way out. Please stop by anytime and see us. But we're just so blessed to be in Ann Arbor, and we're trying to grow our relationship with the University of Michigan and all of the people in Ann Arbor. There's just so many people who want to help and so many ideas and really good departments within the university. So we need your help. If you hear something tonight and you say, man, my church, my engineering department, my fellow classmates, we could do something, let Andrew or any one of us know, or myself or Mary or Hannah or anybody you see, let us know you'd like to help, and we'll put you, we'll ask you to do so. Before I move on, I am really, really grateful. 2 of the people who stopped a few years ago and went on a trip have rallied their community, and I'm really glad that they came up today. from Columbus, we have 4 people who are starting a campus club of International Samaritan at Ohio State University, and I'd like them to stand up so we can thank them and welcome them. We've got really good food from a Guatemalan bakery in Ypsilanti called Panaderia La Benedición. Panadera La Benedición.
What she said.
Yeah, what she said.
On Cross Street, and they're great.
On Cross Street, right in Ypsilanti. Sometimes you have to call ahead, but they take very good care of us. So there's lots of coffee and snacks. We really hope you have a good time. This isn't time to be more of a time of fellowship. We really want you to get to know somebody and certainly get to hear from and get to know some of the most amazing people you will ever get to meet in your life. And that's the leaders of our work in 4 nations. We had invited and we had thought Tavion Jones from Jamaica was coming. Unfortunately, his visa was denied just a week or so ago, and he wasn't able to come. I do want to tell you about Erika Cuevas from Honduras. Her visa was also denied. She reapplied, and she made it. And then she came to the U.S. for the first time. She flew into Houston, and there were tornadoes in the area, so her plane got canceled. She slept in the airport Sunday night, got here Monday. On Tuesday, we were all taking a van down to Detroit to experience some of the city, and that van got rear-ended, and she ended up going to the hospital. We're all okay, but, you know, bumps and bruises, and yet she's still here. So please. So first thing we're going to do is see a video about her where I think, hopefully you know, our mission is to walk hand in hand with people in garbage dump communities to help them break out of poverty. We envision a world in which the garbage dumps of developing nations are no longer homes to human beings struggling to survive. And we're going to see a video about one person's story first, and then you're going to hear from Selam Terefe, our leader in Ethiopia, and then we're going to ask each of our leaders, I'll introduce them in a minute, they'll tell you a little bit about themselves, and then we'll have questions and answers. So we're going to see the video, and then Salam's going to come up. I just want to tell you, first week on the job, I talked with each person, and I was just so compelled by what I was hearing about Ethiopia and who this person is and how she came to lead our work, that I flew out there, and I was even more blown away when I saw the impact of the work she's led over 4 years. And so we're going to ask her, Selam, to lead our conversation off tonight, but we thought it might be helpful just to show a video about one of our students before we get started. So we're going to do that now.
My name is Rahel, and I am 19 years old. I live with my mother and my twin brother, as my father passed away when I was just a child. We live in a garbage dump site of Addis Ababa, commonly known as Kor. My mother did her best to raise me and my brother. She worked as a day laborer, washing other people's clothes, and collected and sold recyclable items from Kor. My mother lives with HIV/AIDS, and my brother and I do everything to care for her. My brother and I used to attend school until 3 p.m. and then collect and sell plastic bottles and metals from the garbage. We didn't have time to study, and we ate anything we found. Kor is a dangerous place, especially for a girl. I have been victim to harassment, and I know many girls my age who have been raped. My brother couldn't bear to see me work there, so he quit school in the 6th grade to work full-time in the dump. His sacrifice breaks my heart. Because of my brother, I was able to graduate high school, and I went off to get my associate's degree in Cuevas Metropolitan University. Learning at the university was difficult for me. Being from the garbage dump community was a barrier for me to interact casually with my peers. My classmates came from good families and they dressed well. My clothes were always torn or dirty, which made me feel isolated. I faced financial challenges as well, as the college was 20 kilometers from my home. I had to rent a house closer to the university, which I shared with 3 other students. Living in the rental house presented its own set of problems. We couldn't turn on the lights to study at night, and we always went to bed with empty stomachs. But my life started a new chapter in 2017 when International Samaritan found me and changed my life. International Samaritan gave me clothing as well as money for transportation and food. I split the money for my rent, living expenses, and university expenses. Now I have an English tutor, plenty of books to read, and even training on interpersonal communication. Since I am an English language student in the college, this greatly improved my academic performance. I love reading fiction books and discussing them afterwards with my tutor. Most of the books featured characters with similar experiences and environments as mine. I have been able to apply the life lessons from these readings to my own life. My readings have helped me become a strong and confident woman. Since International Samaritan started supporting me, everything I need to succeed in my studies has been provided, and I have never been so grateful. My mother and brother don't work in the dump anymore because of the support from International Samaritan and me now being a teacher. With International Samaritan support, I finished college and obtained my diploma in teaching. Graduation day was a very emotional day for my entire family. I felt like I was given a new life. Going forward, I want to be a good teacher and help make my students strong. Now that I am teaching at Caranio Medhellanum School and supporting my family, my brother can resume his education. Thank you, International Samaritan, for helping me achieve my dream.
Please give a warm welcome to Selam, Terefe.
So I told Rahel that we're going to show the documentary, and she said, I hope they like me. I hope you did. Thank you, Mike, for the introduction, and everyone for coming here to hear our stories, our experience, and also the stories of many students who we did not get the chance to see all. And Saint Mary Parish for allowing us to use the space. So I'm really happy to be here. It took me 25 hours to come here, and it has been worth it, because of the connection that we have made and all the people that I have got the honor and the pleasure to meet. So the video that we just saw of Rahel is one of the 6,000 boys and girls who go to Kore. Kore is one of the largest garbage site that we have in Africa. And then it sits in Addis. Addis Ababa is the capital city of Ethiopia, and it's a home of over 5 million people. So the garbage is right just in the center. You might have seen it in the video. There are houses nearby, and the people, they live very close to the garbage because they have to wake up early in the morning at 4 a.m. to find whatever valuable is in the garbage, and that's what they use to eat. Their clothing and everything comes from the garbage. And Rahel is one of the 6,000 young boys and girls who was in desperate need of getting support from International Samaritan. You might have seen it in the brochure that there are over 15 million people who live and work in the garbage. And Rahel's story is in Addis, and we are going to be hearing from my colleagues who do amazing work in different parts of the world. So always when people ask me about why we do what we do, I go back to my experience, my first day at work, and the stories that actually touched my heart. I'm going to be sharing one of the stories with you tonight. So I had a list of questions that I was asking the students, which starts with their name, their age, and their dreams. One of the girls that I spoke, she was 16 at that time. Her name is Adunya. I asked Adunya her name, it was easy. I just wrote it down, her age. And then when I went to asking her about her dream, she was so quick to answer. I asked her, like, what's your dream? She told me that her dream is to know numbers from 1 to 100. I was like, dream, Yeah. So I asked her why, and she said, every day, whenever they collect the garbage, there is a bus which waits for them outside so that they can just pick it up and then go to the market and sell it. She has to ask people like what bus number it is, which takes her to the market. And she did not like the idea of asking people every day, and that was life for her. That's what her parents were doing, and she thought that was what was left for her. So at least to know the basics of like numbers from 1 to 100. I was just, okay. And then I was asking other girls, another girl, Ma'aragi, that I spoke to. I asked her her dream. She looked at me, and for her, it took her time to reply. And I asked her again, like, Ma'aragi, when you grow big like me, at some point, what do you want to become? She told me that she doesn't want to grow. As okay, I'm getting all these stories, and I asked her why. You grow. It's a natural process. Unless something comes, like you grow. And what's your dream? She showed me her house. Her place is like under the stairs. So like she saw how her parents were struggling to get in and out. For a 5-year-old girl, it was easy to get in and out. So that was like her defining moment, saying that I'm comfortable this way, and I wish I wouldn't grow and struggle like my families to get in and out. So those stories for me, like they changed me, the perspective I have of life, the things that I take for granted, because the garbage dumping site is not far from where I live. It's like 10 minutes drive from where I was, but I avoid the road every day, and I didn't know all those stories. So for me, it's something which is like very close to my heart, and something that has shaped me and changed me of how I see the world. So that was before 4 years. Where are these students now? Ma'aragi, she goes to one of the best schools we have in Addis. It's called the Don Bosco School. She's a 4th grader. Now she has like dreams of being a lawyer. Adunya, the one whose dream was like to know numbers, the basics from 1 to 100, she wants to become a medical doctor. So such things, they give me hope. And like I see the work of God, because the way we started was like very small. We were not actually sure of how you cannot just teach someone to have a dream. For these girls, the opportunity of going to school, it just gave them dream, So it's not us who did it, but like I always see how God uses me and the rest of the community to make sure that these kids are given the opportunity of having dream. And I'm really glad to be here, because this has been possible because of many of the people who are sitting here, people who go on field trips, people who give us like the moral support whenever we need it, people who pray for us and who give us their resource and time. So I want to use this opportunity to say thank you, because all the things that we think are really small, it actually gives people hope and dream. So now, the way we try to help these children is we give them scholarship. We make sure that they get all the basics with like school supplies, clothing, and everything. And also food is a big thing. For them, they have to wake up early in the morning at 4 to get leftover food from the garbage. So we make sure that food is available. And the way we do it is we work with local communities, and then before food is being dumped in the garbage, we make sure that we have relationship with local communities so that they can give us at discounted price. And we have maintained strong relationship with the community, and they know our work. And yeah, so like food is one aspect. And the other thing is like book clubs, which I'm very passionate about, because sometimes people define their life with what they see. Your neighbors, they go to the garbage. Your parents, they go to the garbage. So like that's their defining environment. What is life outside the garbage? So we have seen that people have understood about the world and also the work of God through books. So we make sure that they read at least one book per month, and then we sit down, like you might have seen it in the video. We sit down once together, like once a month, and then we review books. We invite authors to come and speak to us. So this has been one of the ways that we have tried to support the children. And another thing which actually accidentally happened was the parents. Now their kids, they go to school. So now it means like they have the liberty to think of themselves. What about us, you know? So one of the things that actually came was the mothers, they said, we also want to go to school. So they go for adult literacy program in the evening. Most of the parents in Ore, if I may put it in percentage, about 25% of them are lepers. And lepers are usually stigmatized by the people because it's thought that since people can contract it by having prolonged contact with that person, people don't want to associate with them, so they find the garbage dumping site home. So even if they want to go to school, they don't feel comfortable to go for other adult literacy program. So we make sure that they also get to learn learn alphabets, like simple things as other than using their thumbprints to sign, being able to write their name. We have been doing it for the past 2.5 years. Now they write like basic alphabets, and they also support their kids with their homework at home. So this is something that we did not expect to happen, but it just happened. And also like the women, they said, okay, we can also do something other than going to the garbage. Now they have the women co-op. They have what we call the chicken and the egg project. So they bought 20 chickens, and then they raise them, and now they sell the egg. Like now they have about 250 chicken. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. This is the experience of Ethiopia, and my colleagues are going to be speaking about their experience in their respective countries. Thank you.
As they just come sit down, I'll introduce you if you sit. As they come to sit down, I do just want to say that there's a few parts of our model, and one is we always like to have people come serve in the nations we serve. Because of the high crime rates in Honduras and the political challenges in Nicaragua, there's actually, the State Department has a travel advisory. And so while we used to have 20 trips a year to Honduras and Nicaragua, we haven't been able to do that for the last year. And we do want to have trips begin to Ethiopia. So if somebody just hears Selam tonight and says, you know what, 25 hours in a plane isn't that bad of a deal. Just know, but I'm being serious. We really want to see medical missions and service trips in 2020. And if that's on your heart, please let me or Andrew know afterwards, because we really want to make that happen. So we've begun through the video and from Selam to paint a picture of what life is like in the dumps and the work that we're doing to help people break out of that generational poverty. Over the next few minutes, you're going to hear in this order from Erika Cuevas in Honduras, and then Angelica Cancinos from Guatemala, and Tim Bouldry, who's been leading our work in Nicaragua for the last 4 years, but originally from Boston, MA.
To there, yeah.
Near Boston. So without further ado, I'm just going to put it over to Erika, and Emily, who is our program coordinator, works closely with each of these folks on the scholarships that we give in that process and making sure that everything is working well. Emily will translate for Erika and Angelica, and then at the reception afterwards, they'll each have a translator with them. So if you have questions but don't speak Spanish, don't be shy. We have plenty of time built in and translators with them, so you can be sure to talk with them afterwards. So, Erika.
Hola a todos, soy Erika Cuevas, vengo de Honduras. Mucho gusto y es un placer poderlos conocer.
Hello, my name is Erika Cuevas. I'm from Honduras, and it's a pleasure to be here this evening.
Les contaré un poco de la experiencia.
I'm going to explain a little bit about my experience.
Primeramente, gracias a Dios porque estoy aquí.
First of all, I want to thank God for the opportunity to be here today.
Pasé muchos obstáculos, pero aquí estoy.
There were a couple obstacles getting here, but here I am. And
Desde dormir en Houston, en el aeropuerto, hasta llegar.
I even had to spend the night in Houston, but here I am today and ready
Pero
to go.
aquí estoy,
Here I am.
compartiendo con ustedes de la experiencia que tenemos en Honduras.
I'll be sharing my experience of the work that we do in Honduras with all of you.
Tengo 13 años de trabajar en los basureros de San Pedro Sula, Honduras.
I have 13 years working in the garbage dump of San Pedro Sula of Honduras.
Les comentaré un poco sobre lo que es el basurero allá en San Pedro Sula, en el Ocotillo.
So the Ocotillo is the name of the neighborhood right next to the garbage dump in San Pedro Sula.
Bueno, es un lugar donde va todo lo que sobra de nuestras casas, toda la basura que ya no sirve para muchos, pero que para otros es importante.
The garbage dump is a place where all the leftovers from house to house to house goes, but although it doesn't serve others, it still serves some.
Es un lugar donde trabajan 300 personas, incluyendo niños y jóvenes.
It's a place where 300 people work, including children and youth.
Donde trabajan alrededor de 10 horas por $10.
The people that work in the garbage dump work for $10 a day for 10 hours.
Encontrándose a muchos problemas, como lo que es peleas con aves de rapiña.
So they experience a lot of obstacles, including different kinds of fights fights with the animals in the garbage dumps.
Soportando muchas veces el sol, lluvias y problemas dentro del basurero. Contaminación.
All the difficulties that they have to work outside, even rain or shine, and the contamination of the garbage dump itself.
Durante los 13 años hemos sido testigos de muchas cosas que suceden dentro de este basurero.
Over the past 13 years, we've been witnesses to many things that have taken place in the garbage dump.
Donde trabajan para poder llevar sustento a sus hogares, pero también alimento a sus hogares.
It's a place where those who work there have to pick through the garbage to take food back to their homes.
Muchas de las familias que trabajan ahí comen de lo que hay ahí en el basurero.
The families that work there find food that they feed their families back home.
Lo que es leche, verduras, carnes.
Whether it's milk or vegetables or meats.
Les contaré un poco. Cuando llega un camión, un ejemplo, llega un camión con las carnes.
For example, a garbage truck enters the dump site itself, and there will be food within that garbage truck.
Cuando el camión llega y va tirando la basura, la carne, empiezan a pelear.
So when the garbage truck comes to dump the garbage, people run to that specific place and have to fight for the food that is there.
Y nosotros hemos visto cómo las aves de rapiña pelean con las personas por un pedazo de carne.
And people and birds fight for the same piece of meat.
Y así con muchas cosas que los jóvenes y niños se enfrentan a diario.
And these are things that youth and children face daily.
los padres de familia que llevan a sus niños a ese lugar no quisieran llevarlos.
Mothers and fathers don't want to take their kids to the garbage dump.
Pero no tienen opción, no tienen oportunidades y tienen que llevarlos a trabajar con ellos.
But there are no other options, and they result to having to take their kids to the garbage dump to work.
Y trabajan desde los 5 años hasta jóvenes.
And they begin this work as early as 5 years old up to adolescence.
Con el programa Paso a Paso, gracias a International Samaritan,
With the Paso a Paso program, or step-by-step program, thanks to International Samaritan,
se ha podido ayudar a muchos de estos niños y jóvenes a poderse capacitar.
it has been a wonderful opportunity to train the youth in the garbage dump,
Brindando alternativas a las familias
offering new opportunities for families
para que los niños ya no trabajen en ese lugar y puedan tener mejor condición de vida.
so that children don't have to go to the garbage dump anymore and that they may have a better quality of life.
International Samaritan nos ha proveído de educación, salud, recreación,
The program that International Samaritan offers to these kids includes recreation, health, education.
y eso ha sido de mucha bendición para estos hogares y así para todos los que han contribuido para que esto se lleve a cabo.
And I know that is such a blessing to the children and the youth in the area to receive these new opportunities.
Cambiando vidas.
It changes lives.
Dauri Pineda es uno de los jóvenes que nosotros tenemos
One of the youth involved in the program, his name is Dowdy, and I'm going to explain a little bit about him.
un joven que creció en ese lugar trabajando,
He grew up in the garbage dump, working there daily.
se enfermó de asma,
He,
producto de toda la contaminación del basurero.
he got asthma from working within the contamination of the garbage dump.
Hoy en día es un joven que ya es graduado gracias a International Samaritan.
Now he has graduated from high school, thanks to International Samaritan.
Voluntario del programa.
And he also volunteers with the program.
Les contaré que hace 15 días, un mes más o menos, él se quería venir en las caravanas.
About 15 days ago, he wanted to join the caravan that was on its way to the U.S.
Es un problema que lo conocemos, que nos damos cuenta,
We all know this situation that's in the news every day.
pero es una de las circunstancias que tienen que pasar muchos jóvenes por trabajar en esos lugares, que no tienen otras alternativas.
But it's a situation that many of our youth and families face every day because they don't have the opportunities in their own community.
A pesar de todo, él ha ayudado al programa porque se siente orgulloso de ser apoyado por International.
So while he was considering to go in the caravan or not, he decided to not go because he became a volunteer for the program, and
Sí.
it changed.
Y gracias a Dios, International Samaritan, vamos a poderle apoyar más y él decidió a quedarse en Honduras.
He decided to stay in Honduras and did not go in the caravan because he has this new opportunity.
Y no salir del país ilegalmente.
And he didn't leave the country illegally.
Gracias a Dios.
Thankfully.
Gracias a Dios porque queremos verlos seguir adelante.
We're so thankful because we want to continue seeing our youth moving forward.
Sí. Ocotillo San Pedro Sula tiene la aceptación de todos.
Ocotillo in San Pedro Sula has the acceptance of everyone.
Todas las equipos fuertes de la comunidad, patronatos, escuelas,
All of the different programs that exist in the community try to be supportive,
inclusive las pandillas,
but there are also gangs in the community
porque saben que estamos haciendo una bonita labor para ayudar a otros.
but the gangs even support the work that we do because they know that it is successful.
Sí, así que muchísimas gracias a todos y a todas por ayudar y dar un granito para que estos jóvenes y niños tengan mejores esperanzas.
Thank you so much for all of your support that you give, because even one piece, even one grain makes a huge difference.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you so much.
Bueno, voy a tratar la manera de resumir todo lo que he pasado porque han sido 19 años trabajar con jóvenes y 12 años con International Samaritan, casi 12 años.
I have 19 years working with youth and children, but of those 19, 12 of those are with International Samaritan.
International Samaritan sí cambia vidas.
International Samaritan does change lives.
Si en el tiempo que hubiera estado esas ayudas, en el tiempo que mi madre llegó a los 12 años al área, tal vez yo no estuviera ahí en International Samaritan, pero International Samaritan llegó y es una bendición.
It was such a blessing when International Samaritan arrived 12 years ago.
Me siento orgullosa de vivir en el área.
I am proud to be from the garbage dump community.
Y me siento orgullosa que las personas que están trabajando con nosotros son del área también y han salido del programa.
And I'm proud to say that our other staff in Guatemala are also from the area of the garbage dump community in Guatemala.
A todos nos afecta un poquito todo lo que está sucediendo, pero creemos los que estamos acá, que trabajamos en Centroamérica y en otros países, que si hay ayuda, hay un soporte económico para que ellos puedan estudiar, se puedan superar, para conseguir un mejor trabajo.
So even through all the difficulties and challenges that the people in our community face, we receive such a economical support from the International Samaritan.
Porque a través de la educación sí puede cambiar una vida.
Because through education, that really is what changes lives.
Pero uno solo no puede.
But alone, we can't do it alone.
Nosotros somos, ayer tuvimos una cena y yo miro rostros conocidos por acá.
Last night we were at a dinner and I recognized some faces that were there last night.
Y se me había olvidado muchas cosas, o sea, cuando estoy enfrente del público se me hace más fácil cuando estoy en mi trabajo y explicándoles la vida de cada joven.
Sometimes it's difficult to explain in front of other people the reality and all the stories that really happen day to day.
Y yo quiero preguntarles a ustedes,
And I want to ask all of you,
¿qué es ser cristiano?
what does it mean to be Christian?
Cristiano es aquella persona que ayuda al prójimo y hace el camino de Jesús.
In my opinion, a Christian is somebody who supports others and walks the path of Jesus.
Ayer se me olvidaron las 3 cosas importantes.
Yesterday, when I was speaking, I forgot to say these 3 things, but
Que una es la salud.
that one is health.
Pero estamos hablando no solamente de salud que nosotros miramos en los basureros, que se enferman las personas de la piel y de los pulmones.
But we're not just talking about the physical health that affects our lungs and our skin in the garbage dump areas,
Sino que también la salud espiritual.
but also spiritual health.
Estamos hablando de alimentación también.
And we're also talking about food and nutrition.
Porque la alimentación es importante. Si un niño desde pequeño tiene una buena alimentación, cuando esté en grados superiores, su capacidad mental va a ser mejor.
With proper nutrition at young ages, it makes such a difference as through their growth into adolescence.
Y se los digo porque hace 12 años, cuando tuve trabajando con International Samaritan, me dieron a jóvenes adolescentes.
Because I tell you this because 12 years ago when I started with International Samaritan, I was working with youth.
Y la mayoría de ellos no tenían una buena alimentación.
And the majority of those youth did not have good nutrition practices.
Porque igual que todas las historias de acá, todos comen de la basura, de todo lo que se tira en la casa.
Because just like the stories you've heard, the people ate the food that they could find in the garbage dumps.
Entonces, ¿qué pasa con la salud? ¿Qué pasa con la alimentación? Si no hay una buena alimentación, ¿cómo ellos pueden estudiar y nosotros exigir que saquen buenas notas? Que sí lo han hecho.
So, because if we don't have proper nutrition, how is it fair that we ask our youth to study and to get good grades if they don't have the proper nutrition as a base?
Y otra cosa importante, las relaciones humanas.
The other important thing is human relationships.
¿Cómo nosotros ayudamos al prójimo?
How do we support our youth?
Cuando vino Jesús aquí a la tierra,
When Jesus came to this land,
relaciones humanas, ¿con quiénes se vino? Con los más pobres y despreciados.
because Jesus is the one who helped the poorest of the poor.
Y se preocupaba por la alimentación,
And he was concerned about proper nutrition, and
porque él pensaba, ¿cómo puedo evangelizar que crean en un creador
because he thought to himself, how do I make these people believe in a creator
si tienen vacío su estómago?
if they have empty stomachs?
¿Y cómo pueden tener salud si están enfermos, no solo físicamente, sino que espiritualmente?
And how can they have proper health if they're sick both physically and spiritually?
La experiencia que he tenido, pues, ha sido, la verdad, fue un choque de valores que yo tuve cuando estoy en International Samaritan.
The work that I do with International Samaritan is filled with all kinds of different values.
Porque mi familia fue pobre, pero hay pobreza espiritual, hay pobreza de seguir adelante.
Even though I come from a poor family, that doesn't mean I'm necessarily poor in spirituality and my values.
Entonces, ¿cómo complementa International Samaritan esto?
So how does International Samaritan do this with our youth?
Las historias de vida que han cambiado totalmente.
The life stories of the youth have completely changed.
Por ejemplo, puedo mencionar muchos nombres, pero me voy a dirigir a una jovencita del año pasado que se llama Vilma Alpírez.
I could tell you all kinds of stories, but I'm going to tell one story of a youth named Vilma.
Vilma entró conmigo los básicos porque yo tengo el programa básicos, carreras y universidad.
Vilma started in what is considered in the U.S. Junior high in the U.S. education system.
Y la madre pues sobrevivía del basurero y después comenzó a tortear.
Her mother worked in the garbage dump, and after that she worked to make tortillas.
Y sobrevivía con $10.
She survived off $10.
Desayuno, almuerzo y cena, si es que le iba bien.
So with that $10, she had to purchase breakfast and lunch and dinner.
Y ella, con todo su esfuerzo, pues siguió estudiando, se graduó y gracias a Dios tiene un trabajo estable en Guatemala.
Now Vilma, she's studied and she has graduated, and now she has a stable job.
Con el salario mínimo que tiene Guatemala y sus prestaciones.
It's with a minimum salary of Guatemala, but it's a stable position.
Y la vida de ella ha cambiado totalmente y me escribe, Señor, ahorita estoy refaccionando, Señor, ya le llevo comida a mi mamá.
So now I get these reports and messages from Vilma saying, Angelica, I just had a snack, or Angelica, I'm doing well. So she gets reports.
Y hay otro chico que estudió para chef.
And there's another student who studied to be a chef.
Y cuando él se graduó y trabajó en el restaurante, en estos momentos está ganando 6,000 quetzales. Que no sé cuántos es en dólares.
This other student, he received
$750 creo que es. ¿Sí? 750.
$750 por mes.
Por meses son 6,000 quetzales, ya me confundí.
We're trying to convert the currencies.
pero es mucho, es prácticamente lo que yo estoy ganando.
He was receiving a very stable salary, is what she's trying to say, in Guatemala.
Entonces, son tantas historias de vida que se cambian cuando se obtiene oportunidades de estudio. Y por eso les vuelvo a preguntar.
And like these stories, there are so many others of how the education has really changed lives.
¿Qué es ser cristiano?
And so I ask again, what does it mean to be a Christian?
3 preocupaciones de Jesús.
The 3 concerns that Jesus had.
Relaciones humanas,
Human relationships.
mi prójimo.
Mi prójimo.
Prójimo. Mi hermano.
Oh, my brother. My neighbor.
Ajá. Salud.
And health.
No solo física, sino que espiritual.
Not only physical, but also spiritually.
Y alimentación.
And food.
Yo no puedo evangelizar a alguien, no puedo cambiar una vida si no tengo estas tres cosas.
We can't change lives without these three things.
Entonces son bendiciones
And
y yo me siento muy privilegiada.
And these have been such blessings, and I feel so privileged.
Y humildemente les digo, es fantástico estar acá,
And I tell you, it's so fantastic to be here today.
pero los verdaderos protagonistas son los que están en nuestros países, son los jóvenes que día a día se ganan el pan ahí.
But the real heroes are those that are working daily in our communities, and they're the real breadwinners.
Ellos son los héroes, no nosotros.
They're the real heroes, not us.
Nosotros solo somos una pequeña parte y ustedes son el motor que nos van a impulsar más.
We're just a small part, and all of you and your support is the motor that pushes us forward.
Entonces, yo espero en Dios y tengo fe
I have hope in God, and I have faith
que los programas se van a extender
that the programs of International Samaritan will continue,
y tener más universitarios para que mejoren su calidad de vida y no puedan emigrar.
and we hope to have more university students in the program so that they are well educated within our own country.
Y si ustedes me preguntan qué es lo que necesitamos, por lo menos en Guatemala,
And if you ask me what we need in Guatemala,
es que hubieran empresas que los mismos jóvenes puedan montar y ellos ser los que produzcan
and it would be that our own youth produce within our own country
para tener un trabajo digno,
to have a dignified work,
dignificarse y tener justicia
to be dignified and to have justice,
para que ellos puedan salir adelante.
so that they can move forward in their lives.
Y yo, sí.
Thank you.
I wanted to protest that Mike put us in this order because this woman's a rock star and it's hard to follow up after her. She inspires me so much, and every time I get an opportunity to be next to her, it's amazing. If it's in Guatemala or it's in Nicaragua or it's here. And I'm blessed to be here and the love and support that you offer, and it's great to see some familiar faces from brigades. And it's so nice to be like in our country and not like suffering in the heat and the dirt and running around sweating and everything. I've been blessed with that whole community, and I've been blessed with International Samaritan who found me, and I was a gateway into the community. Lechereca, at that time, there's a Spanish government came and created a community and took people out, but the people still go in and recycle. At the time I used to be there, it was 10 years ago, so there was no help from anyone. It was just open and anyone could go in, and it was 1,800 people at that time. So they relocated the people into an area called Villa Guadalupe. So that made it a little bit easier for me to work because I didn't have to go directly into the dump. I could go from house to house. And a lot of these people in the community converted their houses into little sorting plants. I think maybe you probably came and saw that yourself. And depending on the political situation, which I'll get into in a little bit, and the ecological, how everything's going, politically and also just like with money, it changes how the dump is. Like right now, the economy is crashing there, and so that means people are buying less trash, and then less jobs, and then more people going to recycle informally. So leading into one girl I want to tell you about is Noemi. I've known her for many years. She moved there from Puerto Cabeza, is from the Caribbean coast. And, this is like the early 2000s when there was this huge boom of Lechereca. Like people wanted to go there, as horrible as it is, because they had no other option. And you could recycle and actually make a pretty good salary doing this, and you're an entrepreneur. You can do whatever you want, work whenever you want. And she moved there with her family and her mother. And her father died when she was young, and she was close to her dad. And so, they had a typical difficult life there, but they did get a house. And I was happy to be able to offer her a scholarship. And she is very active. Like, there's another program called Shareka Chic where they make jewelry, and she is involved in other types of programs. And we got her into a private school, and then she graduated, and now she's her first year at a school to become a doctor. So she's in med school right now, and I'm really proud of her. And I just got news this week. I was going to tell you this later, Mike, but I solicited this opportunity for us to go to Spain because there's a program called WOW. It's called Women of Waste. And it's all types of women. I've been to their conference before, and it's women of all structures that deal with waste, like from poor to, very organized, big cities, to informal to formal. And they said yes, and they're going to fly us out there in October. So I'm like so excited about that. And we don't need to deal with visas, which is like so amazing too. Also, the mother is in the program. I put her into beauty school, and at first I wasn't sure about beauty school. It's expensive. I'm like, what's it going to really do? But she's been beautifying her daughter, her family, the neighbors. She gets to like kind of work out of her house, and it's actually been a good turnout. Politically, this past year has been very difficult in Nicaragua, and I was there for all of that lovely, colorful activity. It's a little difficult to explain, and I lost 3 people that were close to me this past year. And so I'm not sure how to explain that because it all just happened like this in one moment. You always talked about Nicaragua being very safe. It's like the second safest or whatever in Central America. And there's a lot of suppression. And that suppression I even see just in the dump sites. I think I was just talking to you about how if there's a hurricane, they move the people to the dump site. Like that's sort of the way that they deal with those people. And that happened in Villa Guadalupe because there was torrential rains, and there's an area called Manchester that's on the Managua Lake. It got flooded out, and their decision was to move everyone next to the dump site. So everyone got this like crappy house, but they have no way to work, so they go to the dump site. And then they took that land and they extended their park, which is basically like a big governmental promotional thing, all the colors and the Sandinista stuff. And so we had a situation where the kids were, some of the older kids were protesting. And at that moment, I was thinking, it's like protesting in the United States. You get to say what you want, you go on the street. So, I feel that way too. And I joined the marches. The marches were positive. It was a good energy. It was a lot of people, but it all turned negative. The government gives permission for violence to happen between the police, the other party, the Sandinistas, to do whatever they want, to loot stores, to steal ATM machines. That was my bank, thanks. No, it was a little crazy because they were like looting like areas that I bought stuff for the kids. And just to see like I live here and to see these things happen, and they're happening right outside the door, and not that far away. And to protest, they break up the road because it's usually like a cobblestone road, and they make like a wall. It's called a tranque. And they don't have any way to defend themselves. There's no armory or anything. The government has all those guns and things. And, it's the second poorest country besides Haiti on the Western Hemisphere. So, no one can really afford those things, and they never really needed those things before. And so they created moteros. It's like a pipe with the two sticks, and they solder it together, and they put a firecracker in it, and it's like, poof. And at first it was just supposed to be like a warning, you know. I got my wall, I got my tranque, I got my mask on. I'm like, poof, like, fuera Ortega, like, get out, you know. And then it turned into them getting shot, and then it turned into them defending themselves, and then it turned into a lot of news that was a lot of manipulation. And at that time, I was running around buying medical supplies and buying food. I was going at night, I was going during the day. I was putting this like out there for donations, and then the government said that if you get yourself involved in this, you're gonna be considered a terrorist. So then I got really scared, and then I fled down south for a while, and then eventually I came back to the United States, and it took a couple of months to try to like do a lot of yoga and prayer and think about things and reflect. And we have a really great team, actually, that I should mention. Kevin Lopez is the supervisor of the program, so I'm in constant communication with him every day about what they need, and I have an account down there. It's very easy for me to pass the funds that we need there. And Chira has worked with the dump site community for like over 10 years, and she's our tutoring. And we also have Francisco, that you know, we've been he's been giving English classes, like a real good course, because it's like 3 hours for 4 days a week. And then we have Jorge, that is one of our scholarship kids, but he's also like an assistant that can help me whenever I need to do things that are just a little too far away. And so yeah, I mean, I got involved with this whole political part, and I realized I got to step back. So now what I say to the students is please don't. I know how passionate you are about your country. You know, it's not like us that we could just go on the street and put up a sign. You go out in the street and put out the flag, and you can get shot. And I don't want anybody killed. I don't want to see that anymore. I don't want to see any of the videos and the photos I've been receiving. So I tell them, if you want to protest, you study. If I want to protest, I give scholarships. That's our protest, because you know, you can go to private school or you could go to public school. And the public school system in Nicaragua, in a lot of Central America, is run by the government. And when it's done that way, they teach their own version of history, and they teach their own propaganda. And I've also noticed that, you know, I start out some kids in the public school, you know, just to see how they're gonna do, and they get straight A's. And I'm like, wow, you're really smart, you know. And then I took a whole bunch and put them into a private school, and then they had failed. And I'm like, what's going on? So then I gave them like an exam, and I noticed that some couldn't even write their own name. So they have a system where they want to make you feel that you're included, that you're smart, that you're gonna advance and do something, but really they're just wasting their time. And it's part of the suppression of it. So placing kids in the private school is a huge goal, to try to complete that and to do that. And we, you know, little by little we're getting there. So yeah, I think, oh, and the one last thing is I want to say that I built a center for the kids. And that was something really difficult, because we had this open space that was near where everyone was recycling, and it was kind of a cool space, but it wasn't official. Like we didn't have like the complete right. I just kind of like rented it from someone, and then there's always some drama going on. So that didn't work out. So the best thing I could do was just to buy a house off of one of the families, and it was like the cousin of Noemi. So they all moved back to Puerto Cabeza, and they bought a plantation for plantains and beans and rice or something. And it was a horrible condition, the house, so we built it back up again, and we have our little center. It's not a big thing, but it's enough for us, and we're very happy. That's it. Thank you.